the show. Vault 31, 32, and 33 are all directly connected to each other.
What do you mean failed to adequately explain, dumbass? You watched only one episode, dumbass. Perhaps maybe watch the whole first season where they do actually explain in detail. It's just called a slow reveal, dumbass. Bro just watched one episode and started chirping at the first sight of a black person. How are these people real? I feel like this is... I feel like this is just like a meme personified, you know what I mean?
Yeah, literally a black person in the Fallout show exists. Synthetic man starts chirping.
I mean, this is the meme about like the genuine racist neckbeard.
He's had public spats with other anti-woke content creators and even considers himself too...
What is this sound in the
I
background?
was talking about earlier, right?
Oh, it's NCC.
This guy, Synthetic man.
I knew there was sound in the background. I knew there was something weird going on. And I'm also... Wow. Killing it.
Do you know what we're here for? The equal parts. Oh my gosh.
Illegal.
Don't be creepy.
Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Consequences. Your name, please?
Thanks, Jeff, for the question.
There's no point in you betraying your future self to gratify your present self.
Oh, another good
game.
Interest. It's just crazy enough to work. Yeah.
I don't want reality.
He looks good, and he looks hard.
You supercalifragilisticexpialidocious bitch.
A fucking bitch.
It's science.
China. China.
I see that you know your judo well.
Could you drum up?
This is from 12 Rules for Life.
Come on!
That's hot.
Phrasing.
Oh, go, girl, baby girl. How rude.
Oh, what now?
You should be ashamed of yourself for having that thought.
Well, here we are again. I hope you're all having a good day and or night so far. It's been an entire 24 hours since we've seen each other last. Got a lot to talk about, so I suppose we'll get right to it. Remember to buckle up those seatbelts, space fams, as these journeys through the unknown get dangerous. Safety first, space. Safety first. It's always a must here in the galaxy. The treacherousness. Well, congratulations on everybody to their chat medals in YouTube. I see you there. Let's see. Mozart. Aaron W. Del Silverde. Snakes Abea. Soul Life, even in chat. Normal by nature. Sarah Layla. Dirk Gently Geo Dragon. Luke Bovine. Mood to you. Alright, I think that's it. I think I got everybody in there. Alright, I suppose it's time for us to get to it. All sorts of stuff has been happening. Since we didn't do a stream yesterday, today is going to be partly a Labor Day stream. Would have put it in the title, but there's only so much space allowed for YouTube titles. We talk about so much here, there's never enough space. Figured we'd let NBC News start us off with the meaning and history behind Labor Day.
Labor Day is almost here, but beyond barbecues and a final chance to wear that summer white, what is the federal holiday meant to represent, and how has the way we changed over the years? Here's Labor Day simply explained.
Today, work looks a lot different.
How would you describe the workplace now versus, say, what it was like a few decades ago?
A buyer's market versus a seller's market.
Johnny Taylor.
I'm sorry. Please hold. Please hold. I'm sorry. We have to stop everything. This is unacceptable. And I'm sorry that this is about to happen to you. But you haven't earned any of these emotional support characters. You know, I love all of you, but at this time, I don't think you have nearly enough likes to support this many support characters. If anybody wants to look at the likes for me and tell me where we're at, I can roll to get us some support characters, perhaps, depending on where we're at. Don't be sad. Don't be sad. This is just part of life. I just didn't do this before the stream. So you're having to watch... You're watching the sausage get unmade, and it's not a pretty sight. But it's real. You know? It's not pretty, but it's real. So enjoy the realness. You've earned one. Okay. Alright, we'll get one. You have 16. That's pretty good. You only started 2 minutes ago or something like that. Well, not 2 minutes ago, but that's pretty good. It's an 11. Alright. Oh, that's a Gary. Alright, we'll start off with a Gary here. In the corner. Alright, I'm going to have to do this twice. So this is happening twice. I'm sorry, I should have done this. Should have done this before. I wasn't even sure I was going to stream today. I've been trying to get a bunch of stuff figured out. Boop the like button. It's a good point. Mona makes a great point. We can get more support with more likes. That is the way of the galaxy. Oh, and now you have 22. See how quickly that happens? It's like magic. It's basically magic. It's as close to magic as we're going to be getting today. Well, that's a Sam Cedar. That's a Sam Cedar and a Gary to start us off. They're kind of a couple of my favorites. I mean, I like them all, but I mean, Sam Cedar and Gary, can you go wrong? Can you, chat? Can you go wrong with a Sam Cedar and a Gary? I think it's impossible.
Illegal.
What it was like a few decades ago.
A buyer's market versus a seller's market.
Johnny Taylor is president and CEO of the Society of Human Resources Management.
Back in the day, employers, if you will, bought talent. And so it was very much up to the employer to determine the terms and conditions of employment. Fast forward, in a knowledge-based economy, everyone now understands that they sell their talents and their skills to organizations.
The seller, in this case the American worker, is celebrated on Labor Day. Put simply,
Labor Day, in some ways for many decades, was closely tied to labor unions in the United States, right? Especially up to the 1950s, 60s.
At the time, union membership was defined by craft unions or guilds. Think skilled workers, carpenters, plumbers, and electricians.
It's very much not connected to labor unions anymore, which have declined in membership, really since the 1970s. That image of the guy in a sort of steel-toed boots and a hard hat, mostly that doesn't exist.
Today, just over 11% of American workers are in unions, down from a high of over 30% in the 1950s. So how did we all end up getting the day off? Quick history lesson.
Labor Day officially became a national holiday in 1894 in legislation signed by then President Grover Cleveland. Now, there's some dispute over which...
Okay, so NBC is going to try and pretend like it was all very nice and clean, all done legislatively. Nothing happened. All right, now, let's talk more about Labor Day. But, let's go to some more reputable people to talk more seriously about Labor Day. And sorry for missing it yesterday. But, due to everything going on right now, me trying to figure out some serious galactic financial situations. Let's go here to Democracy Now! To talk about labor with legendary labor organizer Jane McAlevey, who actually passed away earlier this year. She was a regular guest on the Majority Report, and I think the Majority Report also did a Labor Day stream where they basically just replayed all the times that she, or at least some of the times, some of the interviews that they had, but this is one of the ones, so the last one that she did on Democracy Now!
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. In this Labor Day special, we turn now to remember the longtime labor organizer and scholar Jane McAlevey. She died in July at the age of 59 of multiple myeloma. McAlevey dedicated her life's work to empowering rank-and-file workers, training tens of thousands around the world to effectively strengthen their unions. She was also a prolific writer and the author of 4 books, including Rules to Win By, Power and Participation in Union Negotiations, and A Collective Bargain, Unions, Organizing, and the Fight for Democracy. In April, she came into Democracy Now! Studios to give one of her last interviews. Shortly before she joined us, Jane had announced she was stopping all work to turn to home-based hospice. She spoke to us just after Volkswagen workers at a Chattanooga, Tennessee factory voted overwhelmingly to unionize in a historic victory for the United Auto Workers. I began by asking Jane McAlevey about the significance of the UAW victory.
Yeah, because it's such a great story. I mean, you had 4,300 auto workers in Chattanooga, Tennessee on their third try. Honestly, they should have had a union there 10 years ago, 6 years ago. But this win wasn't just a win. It was what we would call a beatdown, honestly. I mean, they beat the employer by 72%. The numbers are astounding. So part of what was so great about it is they showed in Chattanooga a lot of what I have been talking and writing and practicing about for decades, which is they had a supermajority strategy. They said they wouldn't file for election until they had what we call a supermajority of the workers engaged on public petitions saying we're ready to vote yes. And when you lead with a public petition that says we're ready to vote yes, you are signaling to the employer, we're coming to get you. And that's exactly what they did. They were having parties, they were having T-shirt parties, they were walking around in red T-shirts in that plant for weeks leading up to the election. They were messaging all the things that those of us who win really hard campaigns, and I don't know any campaign anymore that isn't hard, it's all the stuff that we do. Those of us who have just kept winning in the last 40 years while too many national labor leaders sat around debating, we can't really win, we have to change labor law, we have to do all these things, when all we have to do is actually start trusting that workers are really intelligent, that if we teach them what it takes to win, which is building supermajority organization before the election, that's going to carry them into a great first contract fight. And that's just what they did in Chattanooga.
And I wanted to ask you about the role of Shawn Fain here. He spoke at a Labor Notes conference. For people who are not familiar with Labor Notes, this is the organization that has been backing rank and file movements for decades. And to have a UAW president speak at a Labor Notes conference in itself is highly unusual. I'm wondering your sense of the impact of the democracy movement that occurred within the UAW and its effect on the labor movement.
Yeah, I mean, this is a source of personal joy because I'm a UAW member for many years, including that I was part of the 48,000 worker strike. So I had the pleasure of voting in the ballot initiative to get direct democracy in the United Auto Workers, and then I had the pleasure of pulling the lever for Shawn Fain, doing some fundraisers on the West Coast with a bunch of folks for him. So to watch him go from winning the election, contested, highly contested, basically taking over in early March, walking into what was their national negotiations, every 4 years, their national negotiations conference in late March, going into and leading a series of unprecedented strikes that resulted in incredible victories, had a direct impact on the workers in Chattanooga deciding, hey, we want some of that, right? Like, we want to top out at $40 an hour instead of the low 30s that we top out at right now in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So Shawn Fain is already becoming the kind of trade union leader that we need many, many more of. And I am thrilled that he is my union president. And I'm thrilled.
Okay, sorry, we can't watch this whole thing. It's like 40 minutes. But we're gonna watch some more of it, and well, we might watch a piece of that Majority Report Labor Day special as well. So don't worry, we're gonna get plenty of Jane McAlevey in. Just go to here.
Land, and we've had a whole hell of a lot more of them. So we know that when we do the work right, we can win. And that tribe of 400, probably 25 of whom have come zooming in to say their last goodbyes, which I try and turn into like a last cocktail or something nice in the evening with them, and really talk about the reflections and how we win. And I think for all of us, there's been this deep love across this crew of 300 or 400 of us all across the country, some of whom, by the way, were leading the campaign in Chattanooga, or helping teach the workers.
Against Volkswagen.
Yeah, against Volkswagen. Some of the tribe was in the Chattanooga fight because there are methods. There's a discipline and a set of methods that we know. And we know they don't always work. Nothing is ubiquitous, but they work a lot. And so, you know, I've almost never lost a National Labor Relations Board election in 20 years, and there's a reason for that. And there's a lot of organizers, and this is a really important thing to say. There's a lot of organizers whose names, unlike mine, no one's going to ever know. I could start naming them. They're an incredible, my comrades, my 400 or so, what we call the tribe. You're never going to know their names. And they just helped the workers. They just coached the workers into the victory against Volkswagen. They're going to be helping coach those workers what it is the boss is going to do next in that fight. You got to stay ahead of the boss in the fight under our methods. There's a way you stay ahead of the boss. We call stay ahead of the boss in the fight. And it's only because I had that first cancer. Really, I'm an accidental writer, honestly. And then Francis Fox Piven read the first draft and dragged me into the PhD to write No Shortcuts, which was also not a plan. I didn't finish undergraduate because I was arrested too many times doing student protests in my college years. I just dropped out. But, you know, there's a lot of organizers who are every bit as good as me. We're good. There's a lot of us, and we like to win, and we like to teach workers how to win. What are the methods? What is it we can do? And now we've taken that, you know, we've trained 40,000 rank-and-file workers in 2.5 years since COVID started in our global training program, Organizing for Power. There's another one starting on May 7th. There's 6-week organizing courses. They're free. You have to come in teams. But I want to basically acknowledge all the organizers who are out there winning and have just kept winning and kept winning and kept winning. Again, in the face almost of a cynical kind of do-nothing national trade union leadership that lost faith in workers and that didn't put the kind of resources into organizing and started hiring lawyers and did brand damage and did shareholder campaigns and did everything but talk to American workers. And it turns out when we invest our energy into actually engaging with American workers, they vote yes for unions. And so that team of organizers who just kept at it and are going to keep at it long after I'm dead, I love them. And they have a lot more people to teach. And we're in a hell of a moment right now. And there's also a lot of danger all around us, right? We've got Trump lurking. We've got polarization at really intense levels. Mm-hmm. And one thing I want to say about a beautiful trade union campaign, the kind that we just saw, where they won by 72%, you know, at Volkswagen, is that spreads. That kind of work actually spreads. And when you have a victory like that, other workers all around the country and the world, but especially the country, start to think to themselves, hey, we can probably do that. Like, how do we actually do that?
It's so impossible to interrupt her. Like, everybody just listened. Like, I'm listening. You can tell that even Democracy Now! just like, please keep talking, Jane. And she was a wonderful person and a really important part of the labor movement. And, you know, I hope that if you found what she's saying here interesting, you'll go find more about her. Let's go here. Actually, no. You know what? Let's go here. Sorry, this is a really good interview. What can I say? So many red faces in chat. Why does everybody look so sad right now?
Contracts like they did in the UAW settlements.
Jane, I wanted to ask you, you've alluded a couple of times to your start as a student organizer in the divest from apartheid in South Africa. Could you talk about that and how that shaped your
To make a long story short, in the State University of New York, it's 64 colleges. If you include the community colleges, 64 state colleges and community colleges. It's the largest public university system in the country. And back in the day when I was 18, 17, we had a very strong, we called it actually a statewide student union. We actually used the word student union. And people had to join. And we were going up against Young Americans for Freedom, who would run anti-dues campaigns, and we had to win the dues campaigns. I mean, it was a lot like running a union campaign, just a little bit less intense than I would find, 20 years later. But so as student leader, I became the elected student body president at State University of New York at Buffalo, which is the largest of the campuses. And our grad students were in with undergrads in the student government. So I had a universe of 28,000 voters. And was going up against actually a really hard campaign by the athletes and the sort of Greeks who were like, who's this left winger who's going to try and take student government? We took every seat. We ran 28 people. We ran a slate. My father was a politician. He said, you don't just run alone, you want to govern. So you want to run a whole slate. So 28 of us ran for student senate, every single position. If there was dog catcher, we would have run someone for that. We took the entire student government and then basically dove face first into the fight to divest the university from South Africa. And by
she was involved in so much stuff during her life. Don't be sad. You hear how many victories and things she was involved in. Come on. She did more than I did. She's done more than I have so far. Celebrate, Celebrate her life, rather than being sad about her death. People die. It's just the thing they do. They do these things. They die. But what if you feel... I mean, it's okay. I'm not saying you can't feel sad. That's not what I'm saying. Just, I'm suggesting an alternative to the sadness, I guess. Of course, you can be sad for as long as you want.
Later, I was elected head of the state student union, which made me the student trustee, like officially, legally the student trustee, on the statewide board, which gave me access to documents, to all the financial records, to every single thing a board of trustee member gets. So very unusual that you had a powerful enough state student union that the president was actually a member of the board of trustees. And to make too many long stories short, we had already introduced a divestment resolution several times before I became the president, and we made a few strategy changes. One was we began to focus much more on Mario Cuomo, smarter, I believe, than the son. But anyway,
burn.
Cuomo wanted to run for president too, and we decided we had to start shifting strategy and putting pressure on Mario Cuomo, this lovely Democrat who was going to run for office. And we said, hey, you're the real governor of, in some ways, the State University of New York system, and we're going to put this campaign on you, Mr. Liberal Democrat who wants to run for president. We're going to put South Africa, Nelson Mandela's arrest, the murder of people all over South Africa, and apartheid directly onto your lap if you don't start getting involved in the campaign. The day of the fourth vote, which was my first vote as a trustee, we introduced the resolution, but I had access. I had the swipe pass to get in to the back because I...
Wow, Green New Deal just stole second and third. That is rude. There's no way for me to stop them from doing that. Oh, God.
trustee. So I wore a very large skirt that was covered with chains underneath it and padlocks.
Well, I do think that's cheating.
And step one for me was to get up, introduce the resolution. Predictably, they were going to vote it down. And then I was going to take a bathroom break, which I did, and went downstairs. So there were actually hundreds of workers secretly waiting. And we took the business office because we wanted to stop the state business immediately, so that the university couldn't function. So we had hundreds of students ready to take the finance office of the whole state university system, not just one campus. We shut it down. It was a pretty intense moment. Actually, we had to ask all the nice secretaries, we love you, but we recommend you leave now before we padlock the doors. And that campaign led to the biggest divestment in the history of the divestment movement at that time. We really drew it out. They overreached. They put me in jail along with 2 other student leaders. I mean, imagine me at 19, being sent off to jail. That wasn't very smart of them. That's when you learn a boss doing an overreach. We had the ANC testifying in our trial. We made it into a trial. We're like, you're going to actually charge us with real charges, the 3 leaders, me and 2 others. And we said, strategy, right? Like my father, again, being the daughter of a politician was helpful, a left-wing politician was helpful, because I went to strategy. So they're arresting us. No one else is getting arrested on charges that are going to put us in jail. We're going to go to jail. Let's take the trial. So they tried to settle an agreement with us outside of court and say, if you agree to never protest for your time as a student leader, we'll drop the charges. And I said, oh, hell no. You're not going to stop me from protesting on college campuses. I'm like the state student leader.
She's such a badass. She was such a badass. Wow. It is unfortunate that she's no longer with us. Certainly wasn't shocking that multiple leftist streams celebrated her on Labor Day. You weren't paying attention to your YouTube notification. It's fine. Hey, people have things to do. Notifications get overlooked. Also, at least for a while, YouTube notifications weren't pushing to people. At least to me personally, while I was on the app. And I think it still kind of does do that to some degree. Can't tell 100%. Okay, let's go on. Let's talk about some more stuff here. Let's talk politics a little bit. What do you say? I might come back and talk labor again a little bit. I technically was considering streaming yesterday, but I'm feeling kind of sick lately myself. I don't think cancer sick, but just haven't been feeling super great, so. Let's go to this. Associated Press from a day ago. A look ahead at key dates leading up to the November election. This is, yeah, it's probably a good time for us to take stock of what is ahead of us in this political race.
It's the final sprint to the presidential election. A little over 2 months to Election Day. But there are some major events and dates just ahead. Voting begins this week on September 6th.
The process of voting kicks off in North Carolina. They have a absentee voting program where anyone can vote by absentee. That's the date when the state starts to send out absentee ballots, and also the earliest date that someone can actually fill out a ballot and return it. Delaware also has an early date. They have a more limited absentee ballot process, but people there will be starting to vote well before Election Day also.
Then, on September 10th, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump face off in a televised debate.
This debate has been highly anticipated by just about everybody paying close attention to the presidential race. And it's something that both Trump and Harris have been saying that they wanted to do. In a lot of their campaign appearances and speeches along the trail, both Trump and Harris have talked about wanting to have that one-on-one
10th is next Tuesday.
And let's not forget, the only other presidential debate that's happened in the general election cycle was pretty pivotal.
Attention turns back to Trump's legal issues on September 18th when he's expected to be sentenced in his New York hush money case.
Oh, damn.
This sentencing hearing brings back into the forefront Trump's legal jeopardy. This is the only one of the 4 criminal cases that he's faced that reached a trial, and so if Trump is indeed sentenced on September 18th, it will be the first and only time this year that he will be facing a judge and receiving some sort of sentence as a result of a criminal conviction. But one thing to really watch for if the sentencing does in fact proceed on September 18th is whether the judge imposes a prison sentence. That's certainly an option. We don't yet know whether the Manhattan District Attorney's Office is going to recommend that or what the judge is going to do, but that's going to be a real significant thing to watch in the weeks ahead.
On October 1st, Vice Presidential nominees Tim Walz and J.D. Vance meet for their debate.
As far as we know,
Wait.
this may be the only time that we see...
Hold on. Oh, okay. Never mind. I was like, for a second, I thought they were using never mind.
As far as we know,
I just realized
this
what
may be
happened.
the only time that we see Vance and Walz face off one-on-one on a debate stage, although there could be other debates scheduled in the weeks to come. But with both men as running mates on their tickets, it's still very much an opportunity for them to introduce themselves to a broader audience. Both are currently in elected office, but may not be super well known outside of their home states and the offices that they hold.
All of this leads up to Election Day on November 5th, 2024.
Yep, and that is coming up quick. That's basically just 2 full months away, right? It's like 60 days. All right. Well, there we go. That's it. We're done talking about politics. Okay, I'm kidding. That was just to get us going. First, let's talk about a couple of things Donald Trump here said in succession of one another at this, what was this, a news conference? I think this is some sort of weird, like, I don't even know what to call this. Whatever, let's go to this. Forbes breaking news from 2 days ago. Here's Donald Trump with all sorts of stuff to talk about.
We're joining forces to...
Right, okay, I'm sorry. This is clearly a rally. In my head, it was something else.
We're joining forces to defeat government corruption, restore free speech, and make America healthy again. We're going to make America healthy again, you know? We're a nation that is not doing well in a lot of ways. And
Donald Trump is going to make us healthy again. Wow, what a claim from this guy. Does he even know what that means?
we're not doing so well with health, but we're going to solve a lot of those problems, I think, over the next short period of time. A lot of it's common. A lot of that's common sense, too. It's all common sense when you get right down to it. But we're going to get toxic chemicals out of our environment, and we're going to get them out of our food supply. We're going to get them out of our bodies. We'll get them out of our body, right? Right?
We're going to get them out of our bodies. Right? You know what I'm talking about. You know the ways that people do it. He doesn't, but he has no idea what he's talking about.
With victory this fall, we will enact this pro-family agenda, and we will bring back the American dream, bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. They never talk about the American dream. They never mention it. They don't talk about the American flag. By the way, the American flag, we got some of the greatest congressmen warriors here that you have anywhere.
Congressman warriors.
And congressmen go to Congress soon, like immediately, but soon.
What is a congressman warrior? What does that mean? Is he saying that there's congressmen in Pennsylvania who happen to be in the military? I'm so confused. I'm very confused. Can anybody help with that?
We should give a 1-year sentence in jail to anybody illegal that burns the American flag.
Help! I'm being restrained!
Mike, do it, Mike.
Do it, Mike. Do it. You can do it. Make it illegal.
Immediately, if not sooner.
Okay. So yeah, two things. Trump wants to make America healthy again and make it illegal to burn an American flag, even though it's technically constitutionally protected. Free speech as long as your flag. So that's where Donald Trump is at here. He's going to make us healthy and also keep those flags from burning by making it
illegal.
Let's talk about health and what maybe, he's talking about food and how it should be free of chemicals. I found that interesting. Let's just quickly watch this for reference to that. Just
Now, what's your favorite thing here, Mr. President?
I like it all.
Do you prefer
great American food?
Very good.
President Trump likes fast food. A lot. He's made no secret of it, especially while on the campaign trail in 2016.
This guy.
What is a day?
He's gonna make it. He's gonna make America healthy again.
You know, what's breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
It's not probably healthy, but I'm not sure I believe in that. You eat. Who knows? They say don't eat this food, don't eat that. Well, maybe those foods are good for you.
Exactly.
When you roll up at a McDonald's, what does Donald Trump order?
Fish delight sometimes. The Big Macs are great. The quarter pounder with cheese. I mean, it's great stuff.
In the book, Let Trump Be Trump, former campaign manager Corey Lewandowski described Trump's campaign diet. One order reportedly consisted of 2 Big Macs, 2 filet-of-fish sandwiches, and a chocolate milkshake, which adds up to 2,430 calories. But Trump's love of fast foods predates politics.
Wow.
He's even put his seal of approval on a number of brands.
A big and tasty for just $1? How do you do it? What's your secret? It's wrong, isn't it?
But it feels so right.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Poor Ivana. It's like looking back in time. She's... Oh, gosh. She left us too soon. Pretty sure Donald Trump might know where she is. Not gonna lie. Or how she got where she got.
Eat our pizza the wrong way.
Crust first.
According to
Crust
Trump,
first.
He's a big fan of a burger and fries for 2 reasons: consistency and safety.
I like cleanliness. I like clean. And the one thing about the big franchises,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Certain, because of the
Ivana
importance.
died of natural causes, falling down the stairs.
Wendy's and all these other places, and
I was very, very far away when it happened.
You might worry about, getting a food taster in there. Somebody tries to slip something into.
Well, I never even thought about it until now. Now maybe.
Sorry.
Okay, I just figured we'd do that since Donald Trump was talking about making America healthy again. Not sure he's the guy you want to go to for that sort of advice. If anything, he's an example of what not to do, right? Okay, now let's hear a few clips. Donald Trump hasn't been exactly hitting on his attacks with Kamala Harris. He's been mostly focusing on Joe Biden still, even though he's no longer running against him. And, so lately, he seems to be going a different direction. He's now just reminiscing about all sorts of random stuff. Here's Forbes breaking news from a day ago, with him looking back on his time on The Apprentice as quote-unquote the #1 show on television.
Donald Trump spent a lot of quality time with my wife.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about The Apprentice. Okay. We talk a lot at Moms for Liberty that we're in the middle of a cultural revolution in America. People like to be dismissive and say it's a culture war, but truly the culture is being changed. I look at you as a president and perhaps our next president, hopefully our next president.
Oh my god, she just said president like 7 times in 3 seconds. President, Mr. President,
so you
next president.
It ran for, am I right, is it 14 seasons?
14 seasons, 12 years. We had actually one season where it was on for 3 times during the season. That means they liked it.
That means they liked it.
But it was basically 12 years and 14 seasons. So.
How do you think you kept the audience that long?
Well, it just worked. I mean, we had Mark Burnett, is great producer. He did Survivor. And he came to me, and they rented the Walman Rink. He wanted to rent it for the finale of Survivor. So it had like this jungle setting facing New York City, right in the middle of Central Park. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. And he invited me. I didn't know him, but he was a young producer. He was the producer of the Survivor.
Immediately, it's not Survivor.
It was a very successful show on CBS. And I went there and said, wow, this is great. I rented him the rink, so I wanted to see it also, but he invited me. I went there, watched the show, and he said, I really invited you because I have a concept of a show, and it's sort of Survivor with the asphalt jungle aspect of it, right? The Apprentice. And
The Apprentice, you know the show. It's a very good show.
He said, I'll only use you. There's nobody else I want to do it. If you don't do it, I'm not going to do it. So I thought about it. And I had an agent from a very big agency, and he said, don't do it, you don't do it. There's never been a business show in history that's been successful. Business shows are not successful in prime time. There's never been, I guess, a business show successful. I said, well, this isn't really a business show. It's a sort of a different kind of a show than a business show. It's got a little business to it, but really it's more than a business show. He said, don't do it. He was a very respected guy, actually. He was a good guy.
Very respected guy. Yeah, he's very good.
And then I made a deal with ABC.
The very best, I made a deal with ABC, and then NBC, they're very upset. Now, here is, I'm just going to read from this. This is from the Hollywood Reporter from 10 years ago, 2015. Well, all right, not quite 10 years, 9 years ago. Donald Trump is quoted as saying, it's the #1 show on television, relating to The Apprentice. He exclaimed to a room of muffled laughs at the Television Critics Association winter press tour before brushing off suggestions that NBC delayed the return because of his own controversial and alienating media persona. They were calling me all the time. I think NBC always liked it. I was always pushing it. Confusion over how Trump reached the conclusion that his show was the highest rated on television, it is not, prompted several more questions about the ratings. After conceding that it is just the highest rated show on Mondays, which it is also not, Trump was informed that CBS sitcom Mike and Molly had topped Mondays for the last 2 weeks. That's just what I heard, he said with a shrug. It goes on and on to talk about how essentially Donald Trump doesn't understand how ratings work, and yeah, so his claim that being #1 is just factually inaccurate.
And the deal was done, and then Eisner, you remember Eisner, previous guy a while ago, he's heard about the deal and he broke the deal.
This feels a lot less like a guy running for president, way more like a guy accepting a lifetime achievement award sponsored by the Weinstein Film Company or something. I don't know. It's just it doesn't have the same vibe. He's just sitting here. It's very low energy, talking about the old days when things were better. Don't have to go against Sleepy Joe anymore. And now I'm feeling a little sleepy too.
He said, I can make a better deal than that, so let's make a better deal. And I got angry about it, and so did Mark Burnett. And everybody wanted us. They wanted us. So we got a call from Jeff Zucker.
He's like an old grandpa reminiscing about the old days. Jeff Zucker. Everybody knows Jeff, the great Jeff Zucker, right? Everybody.
Of all people, from at the time from NBC. Then he was heading up NBC. They were having a real drought. They hadn't had a top 10 show in a long time, and they were not doing well. And I'll never forget, we walked into his office. He took the key out of the door.
By the way, I just looked it up. Apparently, Jeff Zucker is the CEO. Wait, the media executive at NBC. Wait, hold on. It's not even the CEO. He was the president of CNN. He was the president of CNN, and at one point, he was at one point years ago, he was the CEO of NBC Universal. Of course, you all know the very well-known Jeff Zucker.
Threw it under the chair in Rockefeller Center. He locked the door. He said, "You're locked in. We're not going to leave the room until we have a deal."
Illegal.
So we made a deal, and ABC was not happy about it. Actually, the man from ABC that made the deal with us, top person, I think like the president,
Jesus fucking
he quit over this, and he quit. He said, "We made a deal with these people," and he was second guessed by Eisner.
Okay, I think we've had enough. I feel like we have, even though I'm just honestly really amused by watching him just sit here having this sort of senior moment. We don't have that on the Democratic Party anymore. It's all just a bunch of, it's just a ball of energy. Even though some of the energy might be misguided slightly to some degree in some places, this is just low energy, sad man talking into a microphone, having a very tough time right now. Talking about anything aside from the past. Remember that time? Jeff Zucker, NBC Universal. He said the show was very good. All the people, they love it. Sir, you're running for president? But the show, The Apprentice, was a very good show. People loved it. Now, let's talk about another little piece of reminiscing here Donald Trump did. This is Forbes News from a day ago. Donald Trump celebrated Rudy Giuliani's record, quote unquote.
Hot right now.
Rudy was right about a lot of things.
Would you jump up?
Was he?
So I know you love New York City. I'm from New York originally. My dad grew up in Brooklyn, in Flatbush. Yeah, New York. But like many other cities.
Sorry, hold on. I have to grab a drink because somebody asked me to. I heard it. I heard it go off. Who was it? Princess Monocle. Princess Monocle wants me to hydrate, and therefore I must do so. But I don't have a. Oh, I finished my drink 2 seconds ago, so I don't have to get another drink. Burb. Okay. Oh. I just noticed that that's not happening either right now. Ugh. Okay, now everything is as it should be. I have drinks. Everything else is good. Airlock is engaged. At least as engaged as it can be. Okay, let's go back to finding out what Rudy was right about. Should be interesting.
So I know you love New York City. I'm from New York originally. My dad grew up in Brooklyn, in Flatbush. Yeah, New York. But like many other cities in America right now, it's a city in decline. You were in New York when Mayor Giuliani really did great reforms.
Right. He was such a great mayor. And, you know, he also fought for a lot of things that he should fight. Hey, he was right about the laptop from hell. You know, he was the one.
He was right. I'm sorry. We still haven't even seen the laptop. What is he talking about? It still gets claps. It still gets a few claps. It's always dudes going woo to the laptop, which is weird. But because we know what the only thing that's come out of this laptop is. But we still haven't seen this goddamn supposed laptop. But apparently Rudy was right about the laptop that doesn't, well, apparently might exist, but has not been produced by that supposed crack team of laptop investigators.
He was right about a lot of things. You know, they have a hack. Trump was right about everything. But Rudy was right about a hell of a lot. He was right. He was the first one to see the laptop, I guess. And he revealed what was on there, and everyone hit him hard. He's actually a very brave guy, but he was a great mayor, and he took over the city when it was in really bad shape and very dangerous, and he made it the safest big city in the country. And made it beyond that. It was a vibrant city. And now
so vibrant.
And in all fairness,
people don't know. When Rudy was in charge, it's much better.
You can't run it. I read where they're spending billions of dollars. I thought New York had no money, and yet they're spending billions of dollars of money, and it's not given by the federal government. So
millions of dollars of money. That's right. That's right. That's right, Trump. That's right, Donnie. Millions of dollars of money.
How are they doing this? The city is suffering, and they're all suffering. No city can take in when you think that 21 million people
21
that's bigger than New York.
21 million people came into the country, not according to math or to science or to the statistics, but according to the story I'm telling you right now. You think Rudy's dead, Jerry? Could be. That might be why he's talking about it, right? That's he's probably the first to know. I mean, he would be the first to find out that Rudy Giuliani is dead. And this is him telling us that this is in his own way, saying, well, Rudy has passed on. Alright, I think I've seen enough of this. Let's go on to the next one. This is, what is this? Forbes breaking news. Trump recounts debating crooked Hillary. More reminiscing. Wait, how did this get in here? What is this?
We had a federal judge overseeing
The election goes, this is old.
He misses it completely.
The U.S. District Court.
Rudy was right about so much stuff, but just not where that sweat was on his face. Let's watch that. Let's watch that again. Let's watch him try to. Let's watch him try to hit that sweat. Oh, he got some of it, but not the important stuff.
The U.S. District Court judges and federal authorities monitoring elections.
I can't say what's going to be done about it. I'm sorry, in what county? Yes.
Speaking of stuff that Rudy was right about. Here's an instance in which he was having a real tough time with being right about things, struggling to answer.
Do you know what we're here for?
Questions about his, his accusations about election fraud. Oh, hey, Adrienne Vixen just rated on Twitch. Thank you for the raid. Good to see you, Adrienne Vixen viewers. Welcome to the Galactic Stream Nation. Baked Ryman Rimmon? I'm not sure how to say that. Baked Ryman Zeta. We were just somehow we somehow wound up on this video. We were talking about Rudy Giuliani, and somehow this video popped up of him just having a hard time. By we just happened to, I mean, I may have set it up that way. Well, welcome. How was the stream, Adrian? Wow, look at all the chats in here. Riemann, thank you. Good to see you all. Sorry, I'm multi-streaming right now, so I'm looking at 2 chats. I should, now that there's more people on Twitch, I'm going to look back on my multi-stream chat. Maybe that will help me keep up with it. Need to permanently add that term. Okay, let's go here. Continue talking about Trump reminiscing instead of doing anything like doing any of those DEI attacks that were not landing, or calling Kamala fake black. Stream was great, but you have a tummy ache. Oh, that sucks. Yes, join us in following Adrienne Vixen. Thank you for doing a shout out, whoever managed to do that properly. Alright, sorry. Got distracted by the raid, but I do appreciate it. Let's go here. This is more of just sort of the same. Donald Trump just continuing to talk about the old days. Here's Forbes breaking news from a day ago. Trump recounts debating crooked Hillary and his feud with Rosie O'Donnell at Moms for Liberty event.
I mean, this woman is dangerous, ladies and gentlemen.
I said, you told me not to do it. There's no way I'm paying you a commission. You told me they wanted to get a commission. I said, there's no way. I said, if it was up to you, I would have never done it. I have the #1 show. You said I couldn't make it. So there's a little things. But it was successful for years. It just did well. And then around the 13th, actually the 12th season, they put me into a poll with a real stiff named Mitt Romney, total stiff. This guy's bad news. He's worse than a rhino. And he was running. illegal. And they just put me into a poll. I think it was NBC, and I was watching Meet the Press, actually, and with Sleepy Eyes Chuck Todd. Did you ever hear of that? He's a sleepy guy, isn't he? Sleepy Eyes, another beauty. So they put...
It's funny that he's still accusing people of being sleepy when it looks like he's sort of just sinking into and melting into his chair right now.
Into a poll, and in the poll, I go to number one. I'm rated number one. Romney's a distant second or third. And I was in various polls, and I kept saying, I'm always like rated number one. And I wanted to get out, but I couldn't get out of the contract because I had an apprentice. Plus, I had 2 buildings that I was finishing. I wanted to get them finished. Not good when you don't finish them. Rely on somebody else you don't want to do. But I said, maybe if I have a chance, I'll do it the next time. And I did it the next time I ran. And we had 17 people. It was a rather violent series of debates, if you remember, right? Rosie O'Donnell, only Rosie O'Donnell. That was tough, huh?
She's a very mean, nasty woman.
Said this and that. I won't use the terms. You've called women this and that and that, and a lot of it was show business related. I said, only Rosie O'Donnell, and the place went crazy. And the second question I got was Brett Baer. He said this was a Fox one. And he said, please raise your hand if you...
I just find it fascinating that this is what he's doing. Rather than painting a vision for the future of the country, what Donald Trump is doing is essentially sitting around reminiscing and rehashing old spats that he's had with other media and political figures from years ago. People that are basically not talked about at all, or at least are very much not in the limelight in the way that they were. It's really weird. It's a real weird vibe that he's sort of cultivating right now. What is happening? That's a great question. I don't know, but he's done. I think he's done talking about policies, because doing that is not going well for him. We recently talked about how he was getting sort of like a backlash from his some of his... Oh, hey, thanks for the gifted tier 1 subscription, Looney Tunes. Much appreciated. Looney Tunes only cementing his #1 place spot on gifted subs this month on Twitch. What was I saying? I was just talking about something. Oh, right. Clearly talking policy hasn't been going well for him, because recently he was getting backlash over his stance on abortion, saying he needs more weeks. We need more weeks. 6 is not enough. And a lot of evangelical Christians were not a fan of that. Talked, I don't know, weeks ago about how right-wing groypers such as what's his name, Nick Fuentes and other people like that were feeling he was not going far enough to the right. Oh, hey, we're 25% of the way to completing my sub goal. Awesome. Things are going in the right direction. I'm getting more subscribers on YouTube, which are different than Twitch subs. At least for now. Maybe one day the YouTube subs will lead me to getting paid, but for now it's just Twitch subs that get me paid. All right. That's enough Trump reminiscing. I think we've done enough. It's clear that he's having a tough time finding actual ground right now, which is shocking. Only a couple of months ago we were talking about how the polls were showing Donald Trump had things in the bag to some degree. How he was basically beating Biden. Biden was losing the national vote. He was losing the popular vote in most polls. It was bad. And now suddenly things are, had they have turned, Donald Trump is actually down in the polls, in the national polls, to the degree that it is out of the margin of error. He's given up on talking policy. You know, he's talking in a way that I would sort of characterize as having resigned himself to just sort of coasting to a loss. And I'm all for it. I'm all for that. I was honestly struggling months ago with how I was going to even consider supporting Joe Biden in any real tangible way that didn't feel empty and shitty. I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. Ow. That's my hand. Okay, let's go here. This is from 23 hours ago. Forbes breaking news: Kamala Harris at a political rally saying that U.S. Steel should remain American-owned and American-operated.
We see and know and fight for a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead. And so we will continue to build what I call an opportunity economy, so that every American has an opportunity to buy a home or start a business or build intergenerational wealth and have a future that matches their dreams and ambitions and aspirations. Because, of course, that's the nature of who we are as Americans. We have dreams. We can see what is possible, unburdened by what has been. We have aspirations.
Oh boy, there she goes.
We have ambitions. And the system that
Unburdened
is a good system
by
is
what
one
has
that
been.
supports that and allows people the opportunity to go where they can see and imagine themselves to be. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about an opportunity economy. We fight for a future where every senior can retire with dignity. And so we will continue to defend Social Security and Medicare and pensions, and pensions, and pensions.
So technically, U.S. Steel has production both in the United States and in Europe, so it's not just in the United States. But last year, in December, it was announced that Nippon Steel, a Japanese steel production company, was planning to buy U.S. Steel for for around $14 billion. It has not yet been approved, but is in the works right now, and upon shareholder approval, it would go through, and regulatory. It would be regulatory and shareholder approval. Sorry, but basically, it is still in limbo. It's not for sure. It's not a done deal. But let's also remember that it is a shareholder-owned thing. When she says U.S.-owned, it doesn't mean that the government owns it. It means that shareholders own it, and the government has regulatory power over it. Okay. Thank you to the Twitch mods for being twitchy and doing those shoutouts and things like that. Don't have I feel like we focus mostly on YouTube around here. Even though Twitch is just as important. Alright, let's go here. This is from a couple days ago. As over the weekend, a strike was it began nationwide at hotel chains.
Some Labor Day plans could face disruptions due to a major hotel strike spreading across the country. CBS's Chanel Call has been following all of that and joins us with the very latest. Good evening, Chanel.
Good evening, Jerika. Before many of us even woke up this morning, hospitality workers from California to Connecticut went on strike, threatening to bring operations to a grinding halt on one of the busiest travel weekends of the year. Outside the Waikiki Beach Marriott in Honolulu, 200 hotel staff are demanding a pay increase, including Native Hawaiian Brianna Canincia.
And I won't have to work 2 jobs. I won't have to get 3 hours of sleep. So that's how important it is.
Similar scenes are playing out in 24 hotels across 8 major cities, from Boston to San Jose and Seattle. The strike follows months of failed negotiations with major chains like Marriott, Hilton, and Hyatt.
These are housekeepers who, clean rooms every day.
Gwen Mills is the president of Unite Here, the union which represents roughly 300,000 hospitality workers.
So what are the sticking points right now?
The wage proposals are designed for workers to be able to afford to live in the places where they welcome people to.
In a statement to CBS News, representatives from Hyatt and Hilton said they look forward to continuing negotiations with union workers. Marriott did not respond to a request for comment.
Hawaiians and local people who are expected to share our aloha with all of these guests, to share our culture, but we also want our share of the profit as well.
And more contract.
Okay. I think that it's good enough for that story. You don't think that the government will stop the purchase? Yeah, I'm also a bit skeptical about it. Although recently, with what Lena Khan's been doing at the DOJ, and the FTC's been doing some pretty great stuff. Basically, I mean, generally speaking, the government has been doing more sort of good regulatory stuff. I want to have some sort of hope that they will do something. But, I mean, we live in a capitalist system, and these things are constantly happening. This is just one example of a company that happens to be unionized. But there's so many companies that aren't unionized that get sold all the time. It just makes more of a... Unions, obviously, all the time will make more of a fuss about it. And which, I mean, I support. And we just have to, consider what to do about capitalism as it has been doing the things it's been doing lately. Shut down or pay a livable wage to all workers. Hey, I mean, that's basically what these workers are threatening. Let's continue talking about this story here at Reuters from a day ago. 10,000 U.S. hotel workers strike as contract talks break down. So yeah, this was a day later. This was on, I think this was Monday, actually.
Some 10,000 US hotel workers went on strike Sunday. That's after talks broke down with operators including Marriott, Hyatt and Hilton. The Unite Here union, which represents workers at hotels, casinos and the like, said walkouts were underway across the country. It released these pictures shot in Greenwich, Connecticut. The strike comes as the industry faces a surge in travel over the Labor Day weekend. Unite Here says hotel workers are being stretched thin following pandemic-era job cuts. It's also demanding better pay. Hilton said it remained committed to negotiating a fair deal, while Hyatt said it had contingency plans in place to minimise the impact. There was no comment from Marriott. The union has urged travellers to cancel bookings at hotels where strikes are taking place and to demand penalty-free refunds. Around 40...
You gotta remember, hotels utilize a lot of shady practices, antiquated practices, to continue to make as much money as they possibly can. You know, most of the staff, like the front house staff, are like tipped workers, so technically they can be paid less in many cases, although unions do help. And then when it comes to things like cleaning and laundry, they use a lot of like migrant labor so that they can once again pay people less. So they hate unions. They hate labor organizing and doing what it should be doing and fighting back against the oppression which the owners are putting upon the workers. Because, for instance, let's just do this real quick while we're here. I was kind of planning on doing this anyways, but what was that? Was that an applause? Fighting Gale with an applause. Thank you. Okay. This is a financial story on Hilton's own website. You can go to this at stories.hilton.com. McLean, Virginia. The board of directors of Hilton Worldwide Holdings Incorporated,
right now.
New York Stock Exchange, HLT, that stock symbol HLT, today authorized the repurchase of an additional $3 billion of common stock under the company's existing stock repurchase program, bringing the total amount currently authorized for future repurchases to approximately $4.2 billion.
Follow the rich white man.
That's right. Hilton, as just one of these hotels, spent $4.2 billion recently, or has allocated $4.2 billion not to paying workers more money, but instead to paying shareholders more money, and to their CEO and CFO and whomever else has big old stock options on the, what do they call it, HLT, make them more money, not the workers.
Help! Help! I'm being repressed!
And speaking of this, Democracy Now! Actually did a show about this, or at least a piece on this. This is from earlier today. Let's go here.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Today is Labor Day. We begin today's holiday special with highlights from a production of Howard Zinn's Voices of a People's History of the United States, where Howard Zinn introduced dramatic readings from history. We'll hear Alfre Woodard read the words of labor activist Mother Jones, and Howard's son Jeff Zinn read the words of an IWW poet and organizer, Arturo Giovannitti. But first, the late great historian Howard Zinn.
The IWW
Industrial Workers of the World was a radical labor organization of the early...
Sorry, I just realized this is the wrong one. And you know what? Considering how slow I'm going, we're going to skip this one. Hold on. Sorry, chat. Troth Central about to tank? Troth Central has been tanking so hard. It has been tanking over and over again. I've been watching it in this sort of cathartic practice of, what do you call it? Gestadenfreude. Gestadenfreude? However you pronounce it. I don't speak German. Where is it? Where is it? I have it. There it is. Troth Central. DJT. Down to $18. I haven't looked at it today. Oh, it's going so bad for him. Oh man. Oh. Wait, hold on. I have to do. I can't. I'm sorry. I totally forgot the number in my head. Oh God. Why? How do you forget this? And it's going to tank even more. Because once it's unlocked, he can sell as much as he wants, and you know that he's been bleeding money. His campaign's been bleeding. He owes so much money. He also is dealing with all of these court cases, legal fines, legal fees, lawyer fees.
Hot right now.
Just everything. Hold on. CNN story. Trump can soon tap his $2 billion Truth Social fortune, but it won't be easy. You know, I should make this monitor. Wonder. Does this have? I don't. I should set it up so that you can see what I'm like doing on at least one of these monitors. On this scene, what do you think? Do you think that's a good idea? Okay. Why doesn't it say how many shares that he owns? I know that it's somewhere. I can't remember where. Gotta sleep? Hey, you sleep, that's fine. You do what you gotta do. Okay, he has like a 60% stake in the company. That helps. That helps a lot. Okay, so in March 20, at the end of March, this company was worth nearly four times as much as it's worth now. So Donald Trump has basically lost something in the realm of $6 billion? I think it's like $6 billion now. It's a lot. He just keeps losing money. That stock has been in free fall all year. All right, we're done talking about Donald Trump and his stock situation. Let's talk about hotel workers.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman in New York with Juan Gonzalez in Chicago. As much of the United States marked Labor Day Monday, more than 10,000 hotel workers with the union Unite Here went on a 3-day strike across a number of U.S. cities. Hotel union workers are fighting for wage increases, better staffing levels, fair workloads, and respect. Today, the third day of the strike, taking place at 25 hotels, part of the Hilton, Hyatt, Marriott, Westin, and Doubletree chains in 9 cities: Baltimore, Boston, San Diego, San Francisco, San Jose, Seattle, Honolulu, Kauai, and Hawaii, and Greenwich, Connecticut, and more. For more, we're joined by 2 guests. Lizzie Tapia is the president of Unite Here Local 2 in San Francisco, and Rebecca LaRoque is a striker and room attendant at the Hyatt Regency in Greenwich, Connecticut. Has been a room attendant for over 12 years. Lizzie Tapia, let's start with you. Explain the strategy here, the cities you've chosen, the hotel chains that you're negotiating with, and what you're demanding.
No, we've been in negotiation for months now, and we have not seen the kinds of proposals that our members will, that will meet our members' needs. So we've been on strike. Today is day 3. There are 7 cities that are out today, and it's about 9,500 workers that are out here on day 3. And, we're looking for a contract that meets what we need to be able to survive, especially here in the Bay Area. Cost of living is so high, and we need to see good wage increases in healthcare, retirement plan. And this is also a fight that's really about respect. And so we're hoping that these companies, Hilton, Marriott, and Hyatt, will get the message.
And Lizzie Tapia, are these the only hotels currently that Unite Here has expired contracts with, or is there a larger universe of hotels that you've decided not to strike at this point?
Yeah, there's definitely a larger universe of hotels, but we've been in bargaining with these typically for the past couple of months, and so that's where we're at today.
And in terms of the differences in pay scales between some of these cities, so for instance, for housekeepers in Boston get $28 an hour, whereas in Baltimore they only get $16.20. Are you trying to create some sort of...
You're always amazed at the amount of Trump merch there is. Yeah, it's incredible. And at this point, anybody who doesn't see it as a pure cash grab is just deluded. We're not paying any attention to it.
More rational system across the board nationwide?
I would say what is consistent across the board is the need for very significant wage increase. Everyone is struggling, especially coming out of the pandemic, to make ends meet. And that might mean different things in different cities, but what it means across the board is we need big wage increase, meaningful wage increase, where we can actually afford to survive.
I want to bring Rebecca LaRoque into the conversation. Can you talk about what you do at the Hyatt Regency in Greenwich, Connecticut?
Yes, I'm doing room attendant.
And that means, explain the work.
Okay, sorry, can't watch this whole interview. San Francisco must pay well, like working at a hotel in San Francisco. Probably pays okay, probably bad for San Francisco. When your wages are competing against, tech millionaires and billionaires for housing. Probably doesn't feel good.
To the workers in the union?
Yeah, Rebecca is absolutely right. When hotels no longer provide automatic daily room cleaning, it creates a workload issue for room attendants who are, cleaning those rooms. When a room is not cleaned for 3 days or 5 days at a time, it's sticky, it's dusty, it requires double the amount of work to clean. And hotel companies don't then adjust your workload, right? It just means that room attendants, like Rebecca said, go home and they're tired and their bodies hurt, and it's totally unacceptable. And it's also, I think it's sort of creating a new model for guests to just not expect that their room will be clean. So, or not get that as part of what they pay for their room. And so it takes away from the guest and from the worker, who those who are working double as hard, and those who are not working because rooms are not being assigned are at home trying to make ends meet, trying to.
Yeah, and a lot of the people who work in hotels work really hard. Especially the people that are cleaning the rooms and making sure that everything is, functioning around these hotels. I worked at a hotel at one point, and yeah, no, it's a tough job. The fact is, companies like Hilton are spending billions of dollars not on the workers, but on stock buybacks, let alone on, exorbitant, CEO salaries and whatever else that they're getting themselves into with their profits. All these workers want is to be able to survive, to be able to afford rent and groceries and things like that. Not have to send their kids to school hungry. I don't know, simple life shit, right? Have a, save for retirement. Is not how you want a hotel room described. Sticky? No, it's not the way you want it described at all. No, but that's what happens. Well, I mean, because they've made it so that people can opt out of having their rooms cleaned, and so if they go for 4 or 5 days, that gets gross. But the hotels are not accounting for that. They're assuming that a dirty room, like a room that's been dirty for 5 or 6 days versus a room that's been dirty for 1 day, are the same amount of dirty, and that they take the same amount of time to clean, right? So yeah, that should lead you to at least a conclusion about how they're treating workers, but also how clean those rooms are. Ugh. Okay. Now, what are we doing here today? All right. Let's do this. Well, I hope everybody's been enjoying the show so far. If you haven't already, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Really helps out. Really, really helps out. Still need to get this channel to 500 subscribers. Yeah, and if you've done both of those things and you'd still like to help support the Galactic News Network and everything that we do here, well, the best option is to become a Galactic patron, where you will not only gain a great number of space benefits, you also gain a sense of self-satisfaction in having produced this show, which you are right now watching. Anyways, chat, enjoy this space intermission. I'll be right back. Okay, chat. I am back. Good God. Shit.
So hot right now. Okay. Well, the Galactic intermission is now over, and it's time for the second half of the show. I just got done hydrating, but I will hydrate again. Thank you, Princess Monocle. And I appreciate the applause. Landum Lazy Lizards Lounge. Alright, we're going to move into environmental stuff. Let's go here first. Wait, why don't I have any sound? Oh shit. That's why. This is called the Arc Sport. It's the second boat that we've brought to market as a company. It's a fully electric 23-foot long wake sport boat intended for lakes and rivers across the US where you can wakeboard, wake surf, inner tube, do whatever you want out on the water. It has a massive 226 kilowatt hour battery pack, which gives it all-day usage time.
Illegal.
There's a lot of enthusiasm for a product like this because it solves all these core pain points that gas boat owners have today. It's quieter, it's far more reliable, it's way cheaper to operate. You're not inhaling fumes off of the back of the boat.
Yeah, our wave has...
Donald Trump would be very, very upset about this. Me personally, I'm very concerned. I mean, because according to Donald Trump, these electric boats, they attract sharks. These people, this guy right here who's wake surfing is clearly in grave danger. I'm sure all of these sharks in the area are coming after them, and that boat will just sort of it's gonna sink any second now.
A push, like even all the way to the back. Because our boat's so heavy and the ballast configuration that we have, we create a really fun wave to ride. It has tons of room to play around on, and it's an awesome experience back there.
A boat like this would not have been possible even 5 years ago. What's really made a boat like the Arc Sport possible
It's
is
science.
all of the money that has been going into the automotive industry to develop electric powertrains there and to really scale up the manufacturing of batteries. There's a lot of tailwinds here, so over time you expect this technology to get less expensive, to be able to electrify even lower cost segments. The industry is heading towards electric because they make so much sense across every aspect of boat ownership.
I hear when the sun doesn't shine, they can't go boating. Honestly, that was pretty sweet, right? I mean, come on. Seriously, aside from the Trump shenanigans, which is partly why we watched that, not gonna lie. Just because Donald Trump, if anybody recalls, recently was talking about how electric boats were too heavy and they would sink and that they would attract sharks for some reason. I don't know what the science is on attracting sharks. I don't know where he got that one from.
It's science.
But you know, and it's just funny to see them not only using an electric boat, but thriving with that electric boat. And I didn't see any sharks. Not a single shark. I don't know about you. Maybe you did. We go back later. Take some personal time. Go through that video. See if you see any sharks. You can let us all know. Seems, though, like electric boats are fine, actually. Now you're reminded about Trump's obsession with... It's not just Trump's obsession with boat parades. It's MAGA. It's the Republican mind that is obsessed with boat parades, at least in this country, for whatever reason. And there's been at least a few very unsuccessful ones in which people were, well... At least I think a couple people were hurt. And at least multiple boats sank. Okay, let's go to this. While we are in California, talking about boating, we might as well talk about housing. That being houses in Rancho Palos Verdes. Which, well, let's just say, has it been splitting up quite a bit. Literally. Because the ground is splitting.
Some people in Rancho Palos Verdes, a city south of Los Angeles, have been told they may need to evacuate due to a landslide crisis. Now, what that means is there's a town outside of a major American city where the power had to be shut off to more than 200 homes over the weekend because dramatic shifting of land has made it too dangerous to power those homes.
These things got bigger overnight.
That shifting could cause damage to electrical equipment and cause fires. Jonathan Bigliotti spoke to angry homeowners who want the governor to step in.
We have a loft upstairs.
81-year-old Sally Reeves has lived in this house in Rancho Palos Verdes for 42 years.
The stairway was coming away from the wall.
For more than 6 months, she's watched almost every room in her home fall apart as
This is so
landslides worsen in her community.
Can you imagine?
This is what it did to our bedroom.
So
I don't know exactly how old she is, but she's got to be near retirement age. I think they mention how old she is actually later in this report. But can you imagine being like in your late 60s, early 70s, something like that, and having your goddamn house splitting at the seams all around you with a... But apparently she has a... her husband is disabled, so she has a disabled husband and a house that is literally... It's not just falling apart, it's being ripped apart.
This was where a bed would normally be.
Our bed was right here.
And this is the cracking from this landslide.
Yes.
She's lived in this broken home while taking care of her disabled husband.
And you could see where the house has literally been ripped apart right down the middle.
Now the power company, Southern California Edison, has cut the Reeves and hundreds of their neighbors' electricity for an unknown amount of time.
I mean, what we're hearing right now is the generator because the power was turned off on Sunday.
She refuses to leave and is now living in the garage. Underneath these seaside homes, a large complex of landslides started moving faster after historic rains pummeled the area.
This is what some residents have been dealing with for more than a year. You have road closures everywhere. You have the sewer line that has been brought up. In some areas, the ground has shifted nearly 4 feet in just a month.
Not everyone can afford to
That's not
retrofit,
good.
repair, or move. Finding prospective buyers or even homeowners insurance is nearly impossible.
Everybody must assume that people who live in Rancho Palos Verdes...
4 feet in a month, like 4 feet in a year would suck, but 4 feet in a month is basically just like a sort of like a slow motion earthquake.
Nearly impossible.
Everybody must assume that people who live in Rancho Palos Verdes are infinitely wealthy. That's not the case, especially for me, and so I literally don't know where I'm going.
City officials are now requesting an emergency declaration from the state.
The acceleration that's happening currently is beyond what any of us could have foretold, and it demands more response from the state, more response.
Jeez. Bunch of retracted messages. I don't know what that's about. You don't have to retract your messages around here. Unless they're, somehow offensive. I don't suspect you of having been offensive. I think I would have noticed if you were... Maybe I wouldn't have. I guess sometimes things go by me. Yeah, that seems fun, though. What do you think? You'd like to be living there right now? Kidding. Kidding, that really sucks. Let's talk about something else that's going on in South California. Here's NBC LA from a day ago. Triple-digit heats heading for South Cal. SoCal. Suckle. Triple digits. Suckle.
You just heard Shauna say it's going to be a hot week in Southern California. Many are already feeling it, and today plenty of people were seen at the beach trying to escape that heat. NBC4's McCollum Medina is live in Junipero Beach with more. Hi, Mac.
Yeah, I'm going to call it Sao Cali. That's be my new thing. Sao. Instead of SoCal, it's not as fun. Sao Cali. Yes, that's the new thing. We're going to start a trend. Right here.
Yeah, not a bad place to enjoy the cool down here in Long Beach. Take a look behind me. You can see lots of people showed up for this holiday on the beach. The cool breeze is the big reason why, and they know this is a place they're going to be the rest of the week because of those high, hot temperatures that are approaching. But there's also a danger here. The UV rays are intense.
We're from Riverside, California, and we're just escaping from the heat up there. They're super hot in Riverside right now.
Richard Curaga and his wife Maria can't take the heat. They bolted as early as they could from the Inland Empire to get to Long Beach's cold water and cool breezes.
Right over there, you can't even go outside because you're sweating like crazy. Right here, we have to be covering it up. Look, it's cold.
Maria is also covered up to protect from high UV rays. Very high, especially later this week, with temperatures expected to soar.
Sunscreen. Because like I said, I work outside, and I already have dark spots because of the sun.
I have sunscreen or anything else that I apply either every hour or less, just depending on the sun and how much exposure they get.
Melly Rodriguez makes sure to spray down her kids with sunscreen as they enjoyed the beach today. Her and her husband Pedro came from Compton to keep cool. We'll get toasty.
I'm from Las Vegas.
We'll get toasty. Yep, you are going to be getting toasty. Things are going to be heating up in South Cali very soon. Already hot.
So hot right now.
Gonna be getting even hotter.
That's hot.
It is the end of summer, so to be expected. Let's go here. Let's talk about this. Channel 4 news from a day ago. Gonna go across the pond to the United Kingdom. More UK bird species are at risk of extinction. I know we have some bird viewers, so this story is basically for you and your bird comrades.
Just a few weeks ago, these cliffs were buzzing with life. Thousands of seabirds jostling for space. The UK's extensive coastline is internationally important as a place for breeding seabirds. So significant, it's been called our Serengeti.
At the height of the breeding season, the UK's seabird colonies are something to behold. The smell, the noise, it can be almost overwhelming. And yet these colonies are now in danger of becoming more and more quiet. Indeed, new monitoring data to be released tomorrow will show we are now in real danger of losing some of our species altogether.
It's called the Red List, a grim accolade of a species whose plummeting numbers put them at risk of extinction. And now, 5 new additions. The Arctic tern, famous for its 50,000-mile globe-spanning migration, 60% down since the 80s. The common gull, not so common anymore, half gone since the start of this century. The great black-backed gull, numbers also halved. The great skua, added due to the devastating effects of bird flu, and the Leach's storm petrel, 80% gone since the millennium, now facing not just UK but global extinction.
So across the UK, for example, we have a 62% of populations are in decline, and in Scotland that figure rises to 70% of populations. Seabirds face a range of threats and pressures: overfishing of some of their prey species, bycatch, impacts from development at sea, and climate change, of course, is an overarching one, which is, impacting both their breeding areas and the food that they're preying on.
If all that wasn't enough, then add 2 devastating years of bird flu. Last year we filmed these scenes on the coast of Northumberland as the disease ripped through the UK's largest mainland colony of Arctic terns.
Our ranger team collected over 1,000 Arctic tern chicks and also about 250 Arctic tern adults.
It's very sad. It's very sad. But many of these British birds that live on the coast are at risk of extinction due to overfishing and, essentially destruction of their habitat and food sources. Totally preventable. Okay. Geez, it's already really late today. Shouldn't have started so late. Maybe I should just, I don't know, maybe I should end the stream, do a stream later this week. Ow. Oh, that's my arm and my mic all at once. I didn't even get to a bunch. There's so much stuff to talk about still. There's so much more stuff to talk about. It's also very quiet in here. I did start the stream very late too, though. It's all my fault. Everything's my fault, chat. You support whatever I want to do? Okay. Oh, thank you. Well, we're already here. I guess I'll just keep going for now. Let's see this Associated Press 21 hours ago. The Pope is apparently visiting Indonesia and is likely to put environment high on his agenda during his visit to Jakarta. Jakarta, that's right.
Indonesia has the worst air pollution in Southeast Asia. There's other countries like Thailand. In Thailand, it's a seasonal problem. January, February, March, they do stubble burning. In Indonesia, cities like Jakarta, Bandung, Surabaya, Jogja, many other large places, it happens every single year. And one of our hopes is that the incoming administration takes this as an opportunity to fix some of the regulation that should have been happening over the last 5 to 10 years, and create an environment for everybody. The visit of the Pope is something that is really a big event in Jakarta and for the country. So having him sound on things like the environment is really, really great to see, and hopefully he can inspire more and more people to take more care in the environment.
Saya sangat mendukung gereja itu lebih membawa isu polusi. Jadi jemaat lebih menyadari bahwa pentingnya itu udara yang sehat, udara yang segar gitu daripada.
Okay, so it's interesting because in Indonesia you don't think of it as being a Christian country, but there is 10% Christian. It's mostly Muslim. One of the biggest, I think maybe the biggest Muslim country in the world, actually. As it's quite large. How big is it? I should look it up. Well, whatever. I know I'm close. Sounds on these things. All right, let's go on and talk about what's happening in Africa right now. You'll notice we haven't been talking about a lot of storms in the Atlantic, and apparently there is a reason for that. And it is historically unusual rains that have been happening in the Sahara in Africa. So let's talk about that a little bit. Here's France 24 English a day ago.
Now, one of the driest places on the planet is about to experience an exceptionally rare downpour. The Sahara Desert is expected to see record amounts of rain in the next 2 weeks, with some areas of the parched desert set to receive 5 times their average rainfall for August and for September. And that could trigger flooding elsewhere in North Africa. I'm joined on the set to hear more about this by our environment editor, Valerie de Camp. And Valerie, first of all, this certainly sounds unusual. Tell us why this is happening.
Well, it is a very rare weather phenomenon. The Sahara receives little to no rainfall at all every single year. And when it does rain, it's an average of 3 inches per year. And so when some parts of the region are expected to see 5 times that average, I mean, if you add that up, it sounds like it's not a lot. But in some parts, it could be years worth of rain in just a couple of days. So multiple rounds of showers and thunderstorms expected in places like Mali, Chad, Libya, Niger, Sudan, and Morocco. And so I have this map here of the Sahara Desert is what you see in yellow. And so it is normally an area of permanent high pressure. And what that means is that it prevents clouds from forming and so moisture building up. And that is what keeps the desert dry. And it sits right above this red line that you can see there. It's called the Intertropical Convergence Zone. And this area is actually very humid across this red line, very prone to heavy rain. And so usually areas characterized by very lush vegetation. And so what's happening now with this unusual weather pattern is that that zone, that red line, is actually moving north. As that moves north, it's actually bringing rain to areas where usually you don't see rain at all. So we know that that convergence zone is actually moving 152 miles further north into the Sahara, and air over North Africa is now holding 3 to 4 times more moisture than usual, causing rainfall.
And might this cause problems, Valerie, far beyond the Sahara itself?
Well, I mean, if you think rain over parched land, that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Well, actually, it could bring pockets of flooding to places like Chad, Libya, Niger, and Algeria. And that is because sand dunes are not able to hold excess runoff. When the ground is really dry, it's almost like a hard surface, and so it can't absorb water, and that can lead to flash floods. And that's what you were seeing now, is actually footage from Sudan. Several villages have been swept by floods in the last couple of days. 31 people have died, and you can see how the ground can't really hold that water, and it's pretty much what you get. For example, when you see climate-induced droughts and really the atmosphere building up, holding a lot of moisture, followed by heavy rain, you end up getting flash floods. And so it's pretty much kind of the same phenomenon with desert rain. The ground can't hold that water.
And just finally, is climate change to blame here?
I mean, when you have unusual weather patterns, it doesn't always have, the fingerprints of climate change. You can have just unusual weather patterns. At this...
Okay. So, yeah, that's, as the reason that storms haven't been forming in the Atlantic the same way as usual, why we haven't been seeing as much hurricane activity as we were expecting this season. Doesn't mean that it won't pick up, just means that right now it's it's Africa that's getting all the rain instead of America. Well, I guess that's gonna be it for me here tonight. Hope you all enjoyed. Till I see you next time. You stay classy, Galactic Stream Nation. Can't forget this. These are your galactic patrons. Gabby, Gothdogs, Aaron W, Schmegley, PB, Vinny, Afroponics, Normal by Nature, Interplanet Janet, Techno Punk, Robot Cat, Disco Wolf, Selena, The Anti-Corporatist, Obsessive Audio, Oh No, Nadia, Choki, Mrs. Jen, Omega Star, Sasha G, Pitchfork Strike, Vincent Morales, and Donald James X. That's right, all these people here have helped produce the show with your eyes and ears. Just got done enjoying. And you can too, for just a few US dollars a month on Patreon.